This is the updated Range Rover, but what's new about it? Well, in this video I'm going to tell you. The one I have here is the hybrid, and it's a little bit like Battersea Power Station in the way that you might think it's just some old-fashioned fossil fuel burning polluter, but actually it's been completely modernised. It's fitted out with a shopping centre and a load of expensive flats. Actually, that's not right. It's got an electric motor and some batteries, and you can drive it for up to 25 miles on electric power alone, so you can drive off and go give Greta Thunberg a cuddle. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson and you're watching carwow. Let's start off this video by talking about the price, because really, if you can't afford one of those expensive flats in Battersea Power Station, you probably can't afford a Range Rover. It starts from £83,000, so you're going to have to pay 89 grand for the hybrid. Now, this may be a hybrid, but there's no badging on the back of the car at all to give the game away. It's also got two huge exhaust pipes, though they're actually just exhaust surrounds. The pipes within them, I'll illustrate with this carwow branch of truth, are very small. Look. Go on, I can't even get it in the hole. Story of my life. I love poking expensive cars with sticks. Other side, you wouldn't know it was a hybrid either, other than the fact that this particular car we've got here is called the Westminster Black, which is a new trim level they've added as part of the upgrades for this very latest version of the Range Rover. Would normally be on 22-inch alloy wheels, whereas the hybrid is only allowed to have 21 inches because 22s would affect the economy. Now, this Westminster Black has a load of extra kit on it, but it also has lots of black treatments on it, including blacked out rear windows. The one on the door here is a bit more browned out, a bit like Keith Richards in the 1970s. There's no changes here at the front for this new Range Rover, apart from, of course, the extra black bits for this Westminster Black model. Now, there are some other new trim levels they've added. One is to celebrate 50 years of the Range Rover, and that is available with some exclusive paints that cost £11,000 each. Here on the inside there are some updates, including different coloured trims for the interior materials, and you now get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Other than that, the infotainment system is exactly the same as before. It's all right, it's not as nice to use as the infotainment system you get in a BMW X7. In fact, the quality isn't quite as good as in an X7, but it's still very, very nice in here. Yep. This is a great car to sit in. I love the seating position. It's just so regal and expensive feeling. Oh yes. Here in the back, the hybrid version of the Range Rover is no different to the normal version, which is no different to the model year before it. No changes, doesn't really matter though. It's a very spacious back seat. Look, lots of knee room and headroom. If you do need more knee room, you can actually get a long wheelbase version, but I've got enough space. And look, you can recline the rear seats on this one. Super comfy and luxurious. Finally, we come to an area where the hybrid version is different to the normal Range Rovers, and that's the boot capacity. So you have 609 litres of space, which is quite a lot, but it's 98 litres less than you have with the other models. The reason for that is that you've got your batteries underneath here. The boot floor is actually raised up by 5 centimetres. I don't know if you can see that there, look, the ridge, but what I'm going to do is lift this up, get this crap out of the way, and then look, you can see your battery pack there. It eats into the space. You've still got all the things like you can get folded downy rear seats that are electrically operated like that. That's great. They're not folding. Why aren't you folding? I don't know why they're not folding. No, carry on. Why aren't they folding? They should fold. Folded now. Come on, are you going to fold? Yes. Weird. Anyway, they're folding. That brings me on to 5 annoying things about the hybrid version of the Range Rover. The charging port cover on this car is a little bit gash. Look, there's no handle to it. You have to grab onto the bits on the grille and then swing it open. Look, even that crow doesn't like it. And watch this. You lock the car, you think that would then be locked, but no, look, we can get in there if we want to, meddle around. The batteries and motor fitted to this car add to the weight. 200 kilos extra over the 3-litre diesel and 3-litre petrol versions of the Range Rover. So it comes in at 2,577 kilos. The battery capacity is only 13 kilowatts, yet it still takes 3 hours to charge it up. That's because the battery can only charge at a rate of just over 7 kilowatts, whereas some of the very latest proper full-on electric cars can charge over 300 kilowatts an hour. Cars which can run on electric power alone emit a noise to warn pedestrians. Now this, when you put it in reverse, makes a bonging sound, a bit like a truck. Have a listen to this. You hear that? Ironically, the noise only comes from the front of the car and it doesn't make it at all from the rear, so you can't hear that from the rear. What is that all about? Like many plug-in hybrid cars, this Range Rover has a save function where you can actually get the car to hold at a certain rate of charge for the battery. That's handy if you want to go into a low emission zone and just drive around on electric power alone later. So you press that button to do it. The thing is, I found that despite doing that, see how laggy this infotainment screen is. Anyway, despite doing that, it doesn't save the charge all that well. When I pressed the save button and I thought it was saving it, it was at 30% charge, but somehow it's depleted to 20%. So much for saving. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. Now you might think that a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine might be a little bit underpowered in a car as heavy as this, but because it's mated to an electric motor, combined you get 404 horsepower and 640 newton meters of torque, which is ample. The satellite navigation system works in conjunction with a hybrid system, and what it'll do will get the car to use petrol power when it's on the motorway and stuff like that to save energy and use electricity where it's most useful, such as in town. Thanks to its plug-in hybrid system, this is a Range Rover that can return apparently 84 miles per gallon, and it's rated at 77 grams per kilometre of carbon dioxide. That means that it's surprisingly cheap if you have it as a company car. You can get an app for the car which allows you to control certain features remotely, such as set the temperature so it's preheated for you when you get into it on a cold winter's morning. I love the fact that you get a really posh bag to hold the charging cable in. You don't get this kind of thing on other plug-in hybrids. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. Yeah. Okay, let's see what this hybrid Range Rover is like to drive. Well, this is the first thing that really sticks out. I'm driving along on electric power alone in a Range Rover, and it makes it even more relaxing and comfortable. Just silent. I really like that. It just suits the car. When you put your foot down, yeah, the petrol motor kicks in. It's not the most seamless, and it does make a bit of a racket at the top end when you're revving it, but my God, it shifts. In fact, oh, let's try this, right? I'm going to launch it. See how quick it is. Go! Whoa. Land Rover say 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds. And you'll see what it really did, because we'll have timed it as the speedo was rising. You know whether it did it or not. I don't. I'll have to watch the video back. But do you know what? As you're driving along, it's punchy enough. The gearbox isn't the most responsive, but it's fine. It's comfy, it's relaxing, blends the gears together well. You can actually do 85 miles an hour on electric power alone. In fact, I can lock it into electric power by pressing this EV button. Now there you go. I'm in electric power. It's not accelerating quite as quickly now. If you want to go quicker, it'll make the engine kick in. I can see this making a lot of sense to people in London. You get all the benefits of your Range Rover, like looking wealthy and being able to look down on the peasants from your throne, yet knowing that you're not burning any fuel. As long as you do it right, you have to plug these things in. You've got to make sure you do that. And I've actually run this thing on electric power alone and managed 20 miles out of it. So yeah, Land Rover does say that it'll do 25, but I was happy with 20. Now, if you run out of electric power and you have to run it just on that petrol motor, yeah, it will hit your economy. I got 24 miles per gallon. The system does retain a little bit of power for the battery, just so you've got that performance when you need it. That's decent performance. I like this a lot more than I thought I would. Do you know what? If I was out in the countryside or had a farm, I would just have the diesel version of this. But for people who have a bit more of an eco-conscience, this is a really good choice. There is one thing about this car that you might be thinking, yeah, it's a Range Rover, is it still going to be good off-road? Well, apparently it's just as good as a normal Range Rover off-road. You've still got all the same terrain response systems and same capabilities. A proper Range Rover, a supremely luxurious, super comfy, really soft riding luxury car that can be surprisingly economical to run. So then, what's my final verdict on this Range Rover Hybrid? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist it. You know, it's a Range Rover, but it's one that's guilt-free. What's not to like?